Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are in the month of June, and if you don't know, June is Infertility Awareness Month, and so I figured it would be the perfect time to finally sit down and talk about my infertility journey so far. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, and I feel like more and more I've been talking about it in my videos, and I just need to do one big video where I can talk about it all and then hopefully not bombard you guys with that information as much, because I feel like every single video I've been talking about it. First of all, I do want to say that I am going to talk about some things that might be a little sensitive and maybe uncomfortable for you to watch, especially if you are a family member. I know that I do have like some friends and close family that watch my videos, and I want to say I totally understand if you feel uncomfortable with watching this video. I am going to be talking about like some intimacy things and like just say things like ovulation and my cycle and things like that. And so if that is not comfortable for you to watch, then you are free to not watch it. But if this is something that interests you, then go ahead and stay. I feel comfortable enough to share it with you, so you are free to watch it. But if you do not want to watch it, then do not, because I will be talking about things that might be a little bit more uncomfortable to hear. I also want to say I am not saying any of this for like sympathy or anything like that. I'm actually in a great place right now with my fertility journey, and I can't wait to talk about it all. So I'm not saying this to like gain anything, but I do appreciate prayers if you do want to pray for me and my husband as we're going through this. It has been a very difficult season of our life, but me personally, I've just been learning so much, and that's why I'm so excited to do this video where I can share all about it. And yeah, I'm just so excited. So I do have a list here of what to talk about, because I'm scared that I'm going to have so much to say and that I'm going to forget things. So yesterday I went ahead and wrote down everything that I want to talk about, and I have all of my books here to go back to if I need them. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about my journey so far. So the hard thing about my situation is I have no idea when the switch flipped and I decided that I was ready to have a baby. When me and my husband first got married, I was only 18 years old, and I was very much not ready to have a kid. In fact, I did not want to have a baby until I was 23 years old, which I'm not even 23 now. And I always said I'm going to wait until I'm the age that my mom was when she had me to have my first kid. Honestly, that was something I struggled with for a long time, because I wondered if that's maybe why God didn't give me a baby, is because back when I was 18, 19, I was trying so hard not to have a baby, and maybe God was punishing me for that, or like just anything like that, which I don't believe that is what the situation is at all. Whenever you're going through something like this, it's so easy to feel guilty and to try to point fingers and figure out like, why is this happening to me? But sometimes things like this just happen, and it has nothing to do with anything. It's just God is going to use it for something, and I do know that he does have a reason, but it's not always necessarily because of a sin in our life. But anyways, I definitely did not want to have a kid at 18 or 19, mostly because me and my husband got a lot of backlash whenever we got married so young, and I had a lot of family members who talked down to me and like who just didn't think it was a wise decision. And most of the time they were saying because they didn't want me to end up like them, which a lot of people in my family have had babies out of wedlock and have had babies at very young ages. So I already was doing something different than them, because I was getting married to a man. I wasn't just sleeping around with people without the commitment of a marriage. So it honestly really frustrated me when people thought that of me, because I literally was doing it the right way, and that was just very discouraging for me. But eventually I got over it, and I remember like even like 9 months in, because also me and my husband rushed our wedding even earlier than the initial date that we had. We were originally going to get married in October of 2020 or of 2022, and then pretty last minute we decided that we wanted to do a much earlier wedding. And most people don't know why, because I didn't ever talk about it. In fact, we just got married. We never told anyone that we were getting married earlier. We just all of a sudden happened. And I feel like because of the way that we did it, most people thought that it was a shotgun wedding. So even 9 months after, I wanted to say 9 months later and we don't have a baby, but I knew that was not the right thing to do. But it was just funny to me that so many people thought that that's why we got married, and it's very much not the reason why we got married. We just loved each other and wanted to be together, and planning a wedding was super duper stressful for me. And I feel like if I didn't get married whenever I did, I might have just caught off the whole thing, because it was a stressful experience for me. But anyways, one of those intimate details of me and my husband is that we did wait for marriage, and since the day that we got married, we never used any kind of protection. I never took birth control or anything like that. We just trusted the Lord and said whatever happens, happens. But obviously at the same time, I was really hoping that I would not get pregnant. I had so many scares when we first got married because I knew it was possible that we could have a baby. I did try to use natural family planning is what it's called, but I had no idea what I was doing, and honestly it could have been, who knows. Anyway, but that is something I did when I was like 18 and 19, but not super, like I didn't research exactly what that meant, and I didn't really chart my cycles or anything like that to know when I was fertile. I just went by what my app was telling me, which isn't always correct anyway. I guess maybe when I turned 20, it was definitely after I was 20 that I finally was like, I really want to have a baby. I feel like maybe some other people around me were having kids, and I realized how much of a blessing kids were. I've always wanted to be a mom. When I first got married, I thought I would want to wait a while, but I feel like very quickly I realized I just want to have a baby. And so by the time I was 20, I feel like I was really ready to have a baby, and I was very paranoid already that we wouldn't be able to have children. There just were already some concerns that we already knew that it might be hard for us to get pregnant, although neither of us have been to the doctor since we got married, which is something that we still need to do, and I know it's so bad that we haven't done that yet. But it just hasn't worked out where we've been able to schedule it or anything like that. But hopefully soon we will go to the doctor and see if there is anything wrong with us. I didn't really research like things to boost fertility or things that I should be doing. I really didn't do anything. I just said, I'm ready to have a baby. I'm not going to stop us whenever I feel like I'm ovulating. We're just going to try to have a baby, I guess. I didn't take any vitamins. I think I did start taking a prenatal because I knew if you did want to have a baby, then you need to take a prenatal before you even start trying. And I might have been taking a prenatal since I got married, since I knew there was always a chance that I could get pregnant, even though I wasn't necessarily wanting to get pregnant. I just knew that I could. And so I've been taking a prenatal for a long time. I remember specifically my brother and his girlfriend texted me and told me that they think that she might be pregnant. And I remember my heart just dropping. This was like January of 24, I guess. But when he said that, I remember I was walking home from the library whenever I got the text, and my heart just dropped, and I was like, I will be so disappointed if I'm not able to have the first grandkid. And this was a big thing for me. Like I really wanted to have the first granddaughter on my mom's side of the family, because I was the first granddaughter on my mom's side of the family, and like in a lot of different ways I was like the first everything. And so I really wanted to have that as well, which was a selfish request anyway, but it just is something that I wanted. And I remember just wishing so bad that the baby was a boy so that I still had a chance to have the first granddaughter. But yeah, I got home and I told my husband, and I remember just crying and being so upset that they got pregnant before me. And I was like just disappointed because I'm like, I'm doing things right. I got married and just things like that. And not to bash them at all for anything, I'm not judging them. I'm just telling you my story and how I felt. But that's the first time I realized like how much I really wanted to have a baby. And even still, once again, I did not research anything or do anything because I honestly didn't really know. I didn't know anything about fertility and that there's certain things that you can do to help it, or like you need to take certain vitamins. Like I really just had no idea. And so I wish I could go back in time and definitely like figure all that stuff out now, and even like just go to the doctor and see what's wrong, which I still haven't done to this day. But like, yeah, I just feel like it could have saved maybe a lot of stress, because that's honestly what it was. It was just me stressing all the time, wondering if I'm pregnant, knowing that I'm probably not, even though I would get these symptoms. And so I would like talk it up to myself and be like, maybe I am, and I'd get so excited. And then I would take a pregnancy test and it would be negative, but in the back of my mind I'm like, well, it just could be too early or something like that. And I just always had this hope that I would get pregnant, and then it wouldn't happen. And eventually it got so bad that I just figured I'm never going to get pregnant. I was so disappointed. I was so discouraged, and I decided like I'm not even going to think about it anymore, which it's impossible to not think about it whenever it's something that you want so bad. But I remember thinking that I'm not going to think about it anymore. I'm not going to stress about it. Once again, I don't really know where the transition was from me like not really caring, not really knowing what to do, and then all of a sudden I am very much wanting to have a baby again and wanting to try things and wanting to go to the doctor and all these things and learn more about fertility. I'm not really sure where the change was, but I feel like people around me started picking up on it more and knew that me and my husband were struggling. And so I started getting like text messages from people and like just encouragement from people who have also gone through the same thing as me, or people who just knew what I wanted and said that they were praying for me. And it was a huge help to me, but that I feel like is what really made me realize that maybe I need to do something else to try to get this baby that I want so bad. So I do remember one thing. I remember I actually started this exact journal. This is a journal that was supposed to be for my unborn baby. I was writing letters and prayers to them so that one day they could read them and realize how loved they are even before they were born. And so that's how it started, but it ended up being more of a diary of me ranting about how upset I felt and all of my emotions. So there's actually a lot more complaints in this thing than there are letters and prayers. But like I said, I'm in a better place now, and that's good. But anyways, this actually started because I was starting a Bible study in 1 Samuel. And I knew that I needed to read 1 Samuel because I knew the story of Hannah, who wanted to have a baby, and she prayed and the Lord answered her prayer. And so I decided I was just going to do a whole Bible study on the book of 1 Samuel. I read that chapter and I was just so encouraged by it, and I decided to like even write in my Bible. I wrote like the day that it started, which let me go see if I can find it. So this was August 16th, 2025. So it's almost been a year since this has happened. And so I wrote down my prayer, which was 8/16/25. And I decided that every single day I was going to pray and ask for this baby. And then on the other side, I have answer to prayer, and it's still blank because my prayer has not been answered yet. But I did write that there so that I knew one day the Lord will answer my prayer and I will be able to write a date in for when we finally have that baby. The funny thing about this is that I'm pretty sure this day is the day after my nephew was born. And so it kind of started with the announcement that my nephew was coming. And then the day after my nephew was born is when I decided to put it in the Lord's hands, honestly. It wasn't me stressing about it anymore. It was me trusting the Lord, giving it to the Lord, and trusting that He'll give me a baby one day. I don't want to take control and try everything I can in my power to have a baby, because at the end of the day, the power is the Lord's. He's going to give me a baby whether I'm doing all this stuff or not, if it's His will. And He's not going to give me a baby whether I'm doing this stuff or not, if it's not His will yet to give me a kid. And so I just realized that and decided I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to mostly pray, but I'm not going to really take it into my hands and do things. But even that started getting super discouraging and super hard. So then that is at the point where I feel like we're kind of caught up now. I finally shared it on YouTube kind of spontaneously. I didn't really plan to tell anyone on YouTube or to talk about it, but I just really needed to get it off my chest, and it felt so good to get off my chest. And so I shared it on here. I started ordering books that taught me so much about my fertility, and I started telling other people about it as well, because I feel like I was just really shy to tell people, because first of all, it can be kind of uncomfortable to be like, hey, I'm trying for a baby. Like, I feel like most people don't want to hear that. That might be very uncomfortable for them to hear, but I just knew I really could use all the prayers that I could get. So anyway, like I said, this journey has been so hard. It has been so stressful. It has had its ups and downs. It has been like very horrible for my marriage and very great for my marriage. Like, it has just been a roller coaster of events, and it has just been so crazy. And I don't really have like a detailed timeline, because like honestly things just change so quickly, which even now, or like where I'm talking about where I first started announcing it on YouTube and I started telling other people, at this point I still had a very bitter heart towards God. I just felt like He could easily give me this baby, but He's deciding not to. And it was just very hard to watch everyone around me get pregnant. If you know me and my channel, then you know that I have 4 nieces who were born this year. So literally 4 babies in the span of like 4 or 5 months were born. And it's been so exciting, but it's also been the most discouraging thing ever, watching all of my sister-in-laws have a baby while I'm the only one who's not. And I'm really not the only one, but it just feels like I'm the only one who's not. It's just very discouraging and very sad. And I did feel a lot of bitterness towards the Lord because of it, and it has really put a strain in our relationship. But the Lord has been convicting me of that since the beginning. He's always been convicting my heart, and I've just been pushing Him away and hardening my heart even more, not listening to Him. I remember being so convicted every time I would hear Psalm 23, where it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," and how the Lord has provided all of my needs. The verse in Philippians 4:9 that says, that I can't think of what the words say, but basically it talks about how all of my needs will be provided by the Lord. And I would hear those verses and it would just harden my heart more, because I'm like, I want to have a kid so bad. It is a need, it feels like, because I just want to be a mom. This is what I've been wanting my whole entire life. I see everyone around me having babies, and yet I can't, and it's just not fair. And I just remember thinking these things and being so hard-hearted and bitter towards God, and it was just a super miserable time. Also, I didn't have a lot of encouragement from anyone around me. I do not have a lot of friends. I honestly don't really have any friends besides my family, and I wasn't even telling my family at this point about my problems. And I feel like those who knew what I was going through only knew because they kind of assumed. I never really opened up and told anyone what I was going through. They just kind of knew that I wanted to have a kid and knew that I wasn't having a kid, so obviously there's something there, but they didn't really know what I was struggling with. I never opened up to them. I never talked about it. They just kind of knew. I was just so miserable. And honestly, I did not get this problem fixed until literally last month, either last month or the month before. I can't remember what month it was, but we went on a trip. It was a youth pastors conference, and we were planning to take our teenagers to this camp, me and my husband, and so my pastor sent us there so that we could get this training. And I'm so glad he did, because it was such a help to me, specifically this one message. And it was a message on contentment, and he used Psalm 23 and Philippians 4:9, which were the two verses that were so convicting to me, even though I was pushing it away and becoming even more bitter. I knew that the Lord had provided all my needs, and I knew that the Lord would give me a baby in his timing, but I was pushing it away so hard and feeling so bitter towards it. And I finally heard this message, and something just clicked. And I think it was just honestly me just surrendering and realizing I can't live like this anymore. I'm so angry and miserable, and it's not making me feel better. Like, it's not doing any good at all. And I just need to put this in the Lord's hands and realize that he is still good, and that he is providing my needs, and that I have a great life, and that I need to be content in the life that God has given me. God has given me a great husband, a great church, a great family. He has given me ministry at my church with kids. He has also blessed me with a wonderful job, also working with kids. He has blessed me with 5 nieces, 4 that were born this year, and a nephew. Like, I'm just so blessed. And I was just seeing that one negative thing, that I wasn't a mom, that I didn't have my own kids, that I feel like I was missing out on all the blessings around me of my nieces and my nephew and all the kids at church and the kids that I was babysitting. Like, I was just missing out on all of those blessings because I was just so focused on that one thing that was missing. And that message has just been such a help to me. And ever since then, like Psalm 23, that whole chapter, first of all, my pastor is also preaching through Psalms 23 right now, so like I just cannot get away from it. It just keeps coming up. At the beginning of May, we had this conference. The speaker that we had literally taught from Psalms 23, so it has just been following me everywhere. And instead of convicting me and making me feel miserable and hardening my heart, it has just brought such a peace to my life. It has brought joy, and I'm comforted by Psalms 23, which is what the intention is of Psalm 23. It's supposed to be a comforting passage, but I was in the wrong place. But now it brings me so much comfort, and I just feel like I'm in such a better place, and I just have so much joy and happiness now. So anyway, that is the main thing that I have learned in this season, is just to be content with where I'm at. And especially like watching reels on Instagram, all I see now is infertility things, because obviously that resonates with me, and so that is what I'm like engaging with, is everything that has to do with infertility, because it's so real. Like, it's still so painful, obviously, and I'm still upset that I'm not a mom. Don't get me wrong. I am not perfect in any way, and I will still have my days. But honestly, I haven't really had like a miserable day since that message. I've never really felt bitterness or like jealousy towards my sister-in-laws or my sister or their kids. Like, I haven't felt anything like that since this message, and I just feel like I'm in a much better place now. But I just know that I could easily fall into that trap again, and so I'm trying to do my best to like stay in the Word, stay in prayer, because I don't want to get that way again, where I'm so far away from God and my heart is so hard and bitter. I definitely don't want to get there again. I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope it was a help to you. I hope it was an encouragement to you. and just helped you to see and realize that, like, you never know what someone's going through, and also that you are not alone. I feel like a lot of times I feel like I'm alone and I'm the only one going through this, but honestly, so many people go through infertility, and that is why this month is a thing, Infertility Awareness Month, because I believe that it's 1 in 8 people go through infertility. I know that there's two different statistics. There's a 1 in 8 and then there's a 1 in 4. I think 1 in 4 is how many people have gone who have had a miscarriage, and then 1 in 8 is how many people go through infertility. So you never know what anyone's going through. And like I said, I've never been to the doctor, so I honestly don't even know if I am infertile, but I believe that you are titled with infertility when you have been trying for a baby for over a year and have not had success in that. And technically, me and my husband have been trying since we got married, but obviously it's just not our timing, and I believe that the Lord will give us a baby in his perfect timing, also in his perfect way. We are not against adoption or anything like that. We have talked so much about all of our options. I do want to go to the doctor and like figure out what exactly we can do naturally to help us and to see what's going on, but definitely I do see adoption down the road. I've always wanted to adopt even without going through infertility. I just always figured that I would do that just because I have such a heart towards the foster system and what's going on there. So we're not against that. IVF, we're not against that. We've talked about it all. We just want to kind of see what our options are before we make any decisions with that. But I will continue to keep you guys updated on this journey. Hopefully it's not too much longer though, because we are desperately wanting a baby. We do covet your prayers and are so thankful for you that are praying for us. We just appreciate it so much, and we are so thankful for you. Thank you also for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you in next week's video. Bye!